In this episode of my backcountry cooking series, we'll learn how easy it is to make ghee, or clarified butter, at home, and we'll use it to make delicious pancakes, toast, and scrambled eggs. Why use ghee? If you are looking to shave pack weight, fats are the densest calories you can pack. Many backpackers lose weight on longer trips because they aren't consuming enough fat. If you look at a typical backpacking meal, you can see why. They leave out the fats to extend shelf life. If you want, you can just go buy ghee at your grocery store, but I'll show you how easy it is to make it at home for half the cost. We'll use a 24-ounce package of Kerrygold grass-fed butter, my favorite. Step 1. Remove the wrappers and place the butter in a deep pan, as it will foam up during cooking. Step 2. Melt the butter over medium heat, giving it a stir from time to time to avoid hot spots. Step 3. Bring to a boil. Be aware that this will not take long. Heat until it starts to foam. This is from the water boiling off. Step 4. Boil for 7 to 8 minutes or until a second foam starts to form and the butter begins to turn a golden brown. Careful not to cook at too high a flame or for too long, or you'll end up with brown butter. The milk solids may still turn a little brown. Step 5. Strain through a fine sieve or cheesecloth. It's best to ladle it out of the pan. Don't try and pour it like I did. In my case, I ended up with just over 16 fluid ounces of ghee, or 15.7 ounces by weight. We lost about a half a pound of water and milk solids. If you pour carefully, the milk solids will be left behind in the pan, which you can discard when the pan cools. Next, cover with plastic wrap and refrigerate to harden and for storage. When you are ready to package the clarified butter, warm to room temperature to make it easier to spoon out. Pack into a trip-size, leak-proof, unbreakable container. I like these small Nalgene bottles. They've never leaked on me, and they are easy to clean after a trip. The first thing we'll make with our ghee is backcountry buttery pancakes. I'm using Bisquick because it is multi-purpose, and that's what I had on hand. We'll start with a 1/4 cup of Bisquick. All our ingredients will go into a snack-size Ziploc bag for hiking. Next is a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of Nido full-fat dry milk, last is 1 tablespoon of Ova Easy egg crystals, equivalent to a half an egg. That's all there is to it. Zip up the bag and it's ready for your hike. This will be a filling breakfast that weighs in at 2.4 ounces or 67 grams. Let's cook up our pancake. Pour the dry ingredients into a cup or bowl. I'm just using the burner cover cup from my Jetboil. Add about 1/3 cup of water, or to the thickness you like in a pancake batter. Stir until the big lumps are gone. Add a generous spoonful of ghee to the fry pan. You want your pancake to be pre-buttered. Let's get our stove going and heat up the ghee. When the ghee starts to sizzle a bit, pour in the batter. This will make 1 thick pancake, or you can make 2 thin ones. Turn the pancake when you see holes start to form on the surface. If making 1 thick pancake, you may need to turn it a couple of times to cook through and avoid burning. Note that I'm still getting used to this new stove and cook set, so I did burn it just a bit on the first side. See my review of the Mons Peak system at backpackgeartest.org. Alright, it looks done. Let's give it a taste. It's really good right out of the pan, but a little honey or jam would make it special. Next up, let's make backcountry scrambled eggs on toast. I love these sandwich or pita rounds. They survive well in a pack for up to a week. First step is to open the reclosable pack and extract a pita round. I don't bother to repackage these. Split the pre-sliced round into 2 halves with your fingers. Note that these fit perfectly into a small fry pan. Put some ghee in your fry pan. I used a little too much here. Let's get our stove going. I scooped out the extra butter before the whole chunk melted. Throw in the pita round, cut side down. Check often for doneness. These can easily burn if you have a stove that doesn't simmer well. Add more ghee for the second half. Well, you know how to do this, so I trimmed out the cooking piece. Throw in another chunk of clarified butter for the eggs. 4 tablespoons of Ova Easy is 2 eggs, 1 per toast. This can be pre-measured and packaged in a snack-size Ziploc. We'll need about 6 tablespoons of water, 3 per egg, or about 3 fluid ounces total of water. Stir well. It helps if you let the egg mixture sit a few minutes. Let's get our flame going, and it's time to scramble. Ova Easies fry pretty much like fresh eggs. I had a bit too much water in mine because some of my egg powder was caught in a corner of my cup and didn't dissolve. We are ready to eat. Spoon the eggs on top of the toast. This is a no plate required meal, but I used one in my kitchen just to keep the countertop clean. That is good eats. Next up, let's try dry baking some biscuits using Bisquick again. The recipe is right on the package. We'll use about 1/2 cup of Bisquick, about the same as our pancake. Add just enough water to make a stiff dough. Mix sparingly because biscuits don't like too much mixing. We'll use parchment paper to line the bottom of our tiny angel food cake pan. It's not essential, but makes it easier to remove. You can use a tiny bundt pan instead of the angel food cake pan. Liberally apply ghee to the sides and bottom of the pan. You can't use too much. It will add flavor too. Add the dough to the pan. You don't want too thick of a biscuit or it won't cook through. The pan fits nicely in the pot. Note that we aren't adding any water. We are dry baking, not steam baking. Now we patiently wait for 8 minutes or so. Let's have a look. Seems like it's done. We'll remove the pan with a bandana used as a hot pad. I always carry a couple of bandanas on backpacking trips. They are great multi-purpose items. Of course, we add extra butter for flavor. I have to say it tasted pretty darn good. For even more flavor, let's try cheese biscuits. Kind of like the ones you get at Red Lobster. This Hoosier Hill cheddar cheese powder is great stuff. I use it for pasta sauces and trail baking. It also makes the best cheese popcorn ever. A little extra mixing is required to get the cheese to blend in. Let's get the dough into the pan and get cooking. My cooking time for this biscuit was about 12 minutes, as it was a little bit more dough than the plain biscuit. Note the lack of burnt edges on the biscuit. Ghee has a high smoke point, and this little stove has a nice low flame capability. Can't have too much butter. I think the cheese biscuit is better than the plain kind, but I'm a cheesehead. Literally. In addition to the items we cooked in this video, I love ghee for sandwiches, added to hot cereal, pasta sauces, mashed potatoes, and polenta. None of these require frying or baking, you just add the butter at the end. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please click like or subscribe.